So, apparently, all you have to do to lose weight now is inject yourself once a week, eat like a bird, lose 40 pounds, and then tell everyone at the gym you did it through discipline and dedication. Nobody is saying that, by the way. I made that up, but also kind of not. What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Marzarella, and this is the Power Building Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about Ozempic, semaglutide, GLP-1 receptor agonists. Call it whatever you want, because no matter what you call it, this drug is everywhere right now. And the fitness industry is doing what it does best. Half of it is screaming that this is the apocalypse for real resistance training. The other half is quietly watching clients show up 20 pounds lighter and pretending they knew this was coming. I'm not doing either of those. What I am doing is giving you the actual picture, the science, the real world coaching experience, and a position that may surprise some of you. Because I will tell you right now, I am a fan of this drug. I'm serious. I'm a fan of this drug. It's absolutely phenomenal what it's doing for people. Under the right circumstances, with the right structure around it, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Let me start with what this thing really is. Because most people throwing in the word Ozempic around have no idea how it works. They just know it makes people smaller, skinnier. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. That's a mouthful. It's a hormone your body produces naturally in your gut after you eat. Its job is to signal your brain that you are full. It tells your pancreas to release insulin. It slows down gastric emptying, meaning food moves through your system more slowly, which means you feel satisfied longer. The result is that the noise quiets down. And I want you to really think about what that means for certain people. Because for a lot of people who struggle with obesity, food is not just food. It's a constant negotiation with their own biology. They eat a meal and they're hungry an hour later. They go to bed thinking about what they're going to eat tomorrow. They sit in meetings at work and they cannot concentrate because their brain will not stop sending hunger signals. That's not weakness, that's physiology. And this drug addresses that at the hormonal level in a way that willpower simply can't. Now, Ozempic was originally approved by the FDA in 2017 to treat type 2 diabetes. The weight loss was almost a side effect. Doctors and patients started noticing that people on semaglutide were dropping significant body weight. And from there, it exploded. One of the fastest adoption rates in U.S. pharmaceutical history. Celebrities went all in on it. TikTok went insane with befores and afters. Does that make sense? The company that makes it, Novo Nordisk, saw profits jump so hard that it became a global financial news story. And somewhere in the middle of all that, actual obese people with real health problems were quietly getting their lives back. That part got a little lost in the noise. Let me tell you where I landed personally on this drug. Because my position didn't come from a headline. It came from people watching I care about. I have a client. She is also one of my favorite humans on the entire planet. I call her the kid. She calls me full dad. And her story is one of the reasons I take this work extremely seriously. About 5 years ago, she came to meet me with her mom. Her mom is a well-known physician, a tough, brilliant, no-nonsense woman who I respect enormously. And I fear. And her dad is one of my best friends, a good man, a caring father for a son and his daughter. This is a family that shows up for each other and that gives back to the community. They are genuinely good people. Now, the kid was in a nasty car accident and spent 6 months in a coma, and she had to redo everything. And I'm going to say this carefully because these words, these words carry weight. She sustained some brain damage in the accident. I could only tell in the beginning because she had a slower speech rate and because she was still healing. And we got to a point where she was doing everything right. But because she sustained that brain damage, a part of her brain said, fuck you. I won't allow you to lose more weight. And she plateaued just as we expected. She did make incredible progress, and I'm telling you that because it is part of the understanding of what this girl overcame. Not because it defines her, because it absolutely does not define her. When she walked into my gym, I saw it immediately that certain physiological factors were going to make traditional weight loss more difficult for her. That's just reality. But what I also saw was somebody who did not know how to quit. She is a fucking warrior. Her education, her college degree, was disrupted by that accident, and she had to fight her way back through things most of us will never have to face. And last year, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in political science. That is who we are talking about. So when she came to me and told me she was going on semaglutide, my reaction wasn't alarm. My reaction was good, because I knew what this could do for her confidence. I knew what it could do for her health. And I knew that with the right structure around it, this was going to work. Her dad wanted on it as well, one of my closest friends. And watching what it did for his self image, for his mindset, for how he carries himself to day, that sealed it for me. This drug, in the right context, with the right support around it, changes lives. Now, let me be equally honest about what it does not do on its own, because this is where the fitness industry actually has a legitimate point. The muscle loss problem is real. Clinical data shows that during GLP-1 treatment, anywhere from 25 to 40% of total weight loss can come from lean mass. That's muscle, not just fat, lean mass. There's some newer research suggesting that the picture is more complicated than that. A 2025 study out of the University of Utah found that in mice, much of what was previously classified as lean mass loss was actually coming from organs like the liver shrinking, not from skeletal muscle specifically. That is genuinely important nuance. But here's the catch. That research was in mice. And the researchers themselves said clearly, we need this data in people. So we can't declare the muscle loss problem solved. What we can say is that the risk is real. The scale of it depends heavily on what we're doing alongside the drug. And the people most at risk are the ones doing nothing. No training, no protein strategy, no coach, just that injection and a smaller appetite. This is where it goes wrong. There is also the stop and rebound problem. Research out of Cambridge published this month found that a year after stopping these medications, people regain on average 60% of the weight they lost. And what is particularly concerning to me as a coach is that nobody knows yet whether that regained weight comes back as fat disproportionately, meaning you could end up with a worse fat to muscle ratio than when you first started. That's not a scare tactic. That's a Cambridge University. And that problem has a name. It's called going on a drug without building the habits and building the physical foundation that make results stick when the drug is no longer in the picture, which is exactly what a coach is for. Let me tell you something, what I actually do with my clients on this drug, because all of it and all of them are fully active. All of them are resistance training. All of them understand their nutrition. And the way they understand their nutrition is through a system I have used for years that has nothing to do with clean eating or food lists or telling someone they can't eat bread, which is bullshit. I do not write menus for people. I never have, and I never will start. You know why? Because people, well, let me rephrase that. Because telling someone what to eat creates dependence, and dependence is the opposite of what I'm trying to build. I want you to understand food, not fear it, not worship it, understand it. The framework I use starts with three things. Number one, you download a macro tracker from your Android app store or the iOS app store. Then you track your macros, everything you eat all week long. It ain't a guilt trip, trust me. This is to make you understand how many calories you take in, your carbs, your fats, and your fiber. Obviously, your protein. Number two, your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. That's a mouthful. We calculate your BMR, or your basal metabolic rate, using the Mifflin-St. Jeor equation. That gives me and you the number of calories your body burns just to stay alive, just lying in bed doing nothing, tapping your fingers, moving around on a phone call. Then we factor in your activity level, and we get your TDEE, the number of calories your body needs per day to maintain its current weight. From there, we set your macros: protein, carbs, fat. And then here's the part that changes people's entire relationship with food. You track it daily, not forever, not obsessively, but long enough to actually see what you're consuming. Because most people have no idea. They think they eat well. And then they start tracking and realize they're 400 calories over their target before dinner. That's the moment things change. Not because I told them bread is bad. Bread is not bad. Cookies are not bad. There is no bad food. There is food that fits your macros and food that does not fit your macros on a given day. That's the whole conversation. And once my clients understand that, once they learn that, they stop asking me for permission to eat things. They start asking how to fit things in. There's a big difference between those two equations. The first one is fear. Excuse me. The questions. There's two big differences between those two questions. The first one is fear-based. The second one is knowledge-based. And that shift, that is the gateway I'm talking about when I see that the drug can change your relationship with food. Here's a real example of how this plays out for me, or for my client, that is. A client texts me. They have a wedding this weekend. They're nervous about it. They want to know what to do, what to eat. My answer is simple. Eat a light breakfast, eat a light lunch, go to the wedding, be a rational adult, Do not drink like a pig. Empty calories, folks. Do not eat like a pig. Enjoy your food. Enjoy the night. And get back in the gym the next day. And you know what happens? They follow that advice. They come back in on Monday or whatever day is next. And they have one of the best workouts in weeks. Because they actually had food in their body from the night before. That is what a sane relationship with food looks like. Not restriction, not punishment, not fear. Structure with flexibility built in. And that is exactly what GLP-1 can help enable for people who could never get there before. Because when the food noise is quieter, the rational decisions become easier to make. The client, who used to eat emotionally, I'm guilty of that, can start to think clearly about what they actually want. The person who used to binge after a restriction cycle, like a meat prep or a bodybuilding contest prep, those are rough, by the way, versus when they're just triggered to eat. This is a gateway to a better life. And I have seen it happen more than once with people I genuinely care about. Now, I also want to be clear about something. I continue to keep an eye on the research around this drug. I have conversations in my professional world that go deeper than what makes the news. And what I can tell you from that combined picture is that the science on GLP-1 and muscle preservation is still being written. The three things that current research supports most clearly for protecting lean mass during semaglutide treatment are resistance training, they are adequate protein intake, and creatine monohydrate supplementation. Let me be clear here because I am not going to overstate what the evidence says. Resistance training and protein are the heavy hitters. The research on those two is strong and consistent. Creatine is a legitimate supporting player. A September 2025 study showed creatine paired with resistance training increased fat-free mass by about 1.4 kilograms on average. There's also a Texas Tech case series from 2025. They documented semaglutide patients using 5 grams of creatine daily alongside resistance training and high protein intake, who preserved lean tissue tracked by actual DEXA scans. That is real data. But the creatine plus GLP-1 combination is still early in terms of large-scale research. So I will say what I always say. It is worth doing, but it's not a magic fix. And it works best when the training and the protein are already dialed in, which brings me to the next episode. On Thursday, we are going to talk about the actual protocol, what the training structure looks like from someone on GLP-1, what the protein targets are, and why they matter more on this drug than off it, how to think about creatine without overselling it, and what happens to your body when you stop the drug without a plan in place. Because that rebound problem I mentioned, that is where people lose everything they worked for. And it is completely preventable with the right structure, with a coach, with a nutrition system that you actually understand instead of one you're just following until you run out of motivation. If you are on a GLP-1 right now, or you're thinking about it, or you know someone who is, the next episode is for you guys. If this hits home today, subscribe wherever you're listening. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. If you want to help the show grow, please, thank you. Find me on Instagram at PowerBuilding365, and I will see you next time. I'm Chris Marzarella. This is the Power Building 365 podcast. We're done here. Have a great day.